What's up, y'all? I'm back out here on the range, as you can see, on a sure enough cold winter morning. It was only 20 degrees when I first got out here. It was supposed to be cloudy all day, but so far that hadn't happened, so that's definitely a good thing. None of that's gonna keep me from doing some testing out here today though, and we're gonna kick it off with some 45 ACP. So I got the jelly contraption ready to roll out here with the chronos and 2 fresh blocks of gel. No tests at all done, so we get a really nice clear picture on this one. Obviously, I've got the heavy clothing barrier set up on it with the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And for this one here, we're taking it back to basics again. As you can see, I've got the Winchester white box jacketed hollow point here, 45 ACP, 230 grain. There you go, the brass case. The projectile there looks pretty decent actually compared to some of the smaller ones. A lot of times, you know, a larger opening like that will help it, you know, if it's moving slower, if it starts to get clogged. Now, that's not always the case though, because as y'all know, if you watch the channel, I'll leave a link up above if you hadn't seen it, but the 40 Smith & Wesson that I just tested in this was totally pitiful. So with that being said, that doesn't give me a lot of hope for this. I'll just tell you now, the velocity on the box for this stuff is saying 880 feet per second, so that's already kind of yikes right there, and this isn't the top of the line premium stuff, so it's done pretty good in 9, 380 no good, 40 no good. I just tested that, so really I think this is basically the last kind of main caliber that I hadn't tested in this Winchester. So I'm gonna try it out of a couple different tools here. I didn't go with anything real small because again, I don't have the highest hopes for this stuff. If by some chance it does do well out of one of these, I'll think about doing a shorter barrel test. But for now, I've got the full size Rock Island 1911 here with the 5-inch barrel, and then I've got my Taurus Commander 1911 with the 4 1/4 inch barrel. So again, I really don't have the highest hopes for this stuff, mainly based on what we just saw from the 40 Smith & Wesson, but maybe it'll prove me wrong. Let's get this stuff set up and let's see what they can do. All right, let's see how fast we're going here. I'm gonna do a 5-round average from each barrel length. We'll start with the 4 1/4 Commander first. Now again, like I always mention, if y'all haven't watched my videos before, you're gonna get multiple readings from this lab radar. Your large number is gonna be your muzzle velocity, and in the 5 at the bottom, I've got it set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then you've got 10, 15, 25, and 50. Let's see what we get here. Remember, the box was saying 880. I definitely don't expect to see it on this 4 1/4, which is not boding well for what we'll see in the gel. Got 785, 786. Ooh, that's 75 yarder. 767, 756. And 820, so we had a jump up at the end there. Not the 880 for sure. Let's see what the average was. All right, so our 5-round average on that was 783 feet per second. We had that last round high of 820, and then we had a low of 756. So extreme spread was 64 and standard deviation 24.3. 783 average. I just don't know about these big old rounds being basic already. I just don't have the best hopes for these, but let's reset it and see what the 5-inch does. All right, let's do it again, y'all. This time from the 5-inch Rock Island. Remember, the box is saying 880, so that's what we're looking for. Sad to say, I really don't expect to see it. 817, 839, 815. Whoo, that's 75. 799. And 822, so no 880 on that either. Let's check out the average. All right, so we bumped it up a little there, but not a whole lot. We had a 5-round average that time of 818, the high of 839, and a low of 799. Extreme spread 40, standard deviation 14.3. So 818 on this 5-inch, and if you remember on the 4 1/4, it was 783, so you're talking about 35 feet per second difference. Not much at all, so I suspect we're gonna see pretty much the same performance out of both of these in the gel, and unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna be good at all. I think the 5-inch is liable to clear both blocks, but then again, they may not just because of how slow they're moving. At any rate, I hope they do prove me wrong. Let's get this reset, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, is the Winchester white box just a fancy box of rocks? Jelly time. I'm gonna put one through each barrel length into the gel, starting with this 4 1/4 Commander. As you can see, I've got my high-tech bath towel projectile catcher down there because I'm expecting the worst. Although, again, these are probably moving slow enough and they're heavy enough that they may tumble or just plain old stop short of the end, but I don't expect any expansion out of these. I do hope I'm wrong, though. All right, that looked like a good one right there. Let's go see what I got. Well, it looks like this stuff just proved me wrong first thing this morning, y'all. Way better than what I was expecting out of it. Now, it's nothing fantastic that's gonna win any contest, but it's way better than what I thought it was. So let's see what this Rock Island does. After seeing that, I've got a little bit higher hopes for this one. So let's see what happens here, y'all. Ooh, that went low and I think it curved out the side. Let me go see. False alarm on that. It didn't come outside. It's just that glare messing with me again. And y'all probably thinking, well, what are you doing here again? That one tumbled around backwards. So this is going to be another one of them inconclusive things. I would really like to see what this stuff does out of a 5-inch without tumbling. So already, normally I would stop right there and say this failed because it tumbled around. It didn't open. It didn't do what it's supposed to do. But I'm going to put one more round in here. This is probably, get a good look at them tracks, because if it runs into one of them, it just is what it is. All right, that went just above that last one. I think that's perfect. Let's go see what we got. All right, y'all, let's check out what we got down here. Sending that second round from the Rock Island, the full size there, kind of answered the question I had there, but it kind of left the question on the 4 1/4 inch Taurus up here. So what we got here on the top, that's the 4 1/4 inch Taurus. As you can see, it comes in nice, very, very nice disruption here all the way through that first block, goes into the second block, probably, I don't know, they look like they're about 4 or 5 inches into this second block. And this one actually does have some expansion. Now, it's not a whole lot of expansion by any means. Again, it won't win any contest for expansion, but it does have some expansion. And then skipping down to the very bottom, that was the first one from the Rock Island full size. This one here comes in, obviously, no kind of expansion all the way through this first block. It starts dumping a lot of cloth right here into the second block, and this one's actually turned around backwards. And from what I can tell, it doesn't even look like any kind of attempt at expansion on that one. And then finally, the one in the middle here, that was the second round from the full-size Rock Island. Same kind of deal here. You got some disruption here, but no expansion. That's just, again, from a projectile going through gel, like I've mentioned before. Goes through this first block into the second block. The projectile's right about the same as the first one, but it looks like it might have got about an inch further on the penetration, but that's probably because this one is sitting here facing forward instead of backwards like the first one. So that one personally answered my question as far as this Rock Island full size here, what would happen if it didn't tumble. So you can see it tumbled the first time, no expansion, didn't tumble, or at least it's facing forward at the end on the second one and still no expansion. Now, did it tumble right here? That's possible, but my guess would be no. I mean, I could be wrong, it's hard to say, but in either case, one of them's facing forward, one of them's facing backwards, and neither one got expansion. And so of course that one leaves the question, why did this one from the shorter barrel and a slower velocity have any expansion at all where these didn't? And you can see here, this one looks like it dumped a bunch of cloth here. So, you know, you could say it's a matter of where it got rid of the cloth after clogging, but most of the cloth from this one looks like it dumped out right here after probably it tumbled. From the 4 1/4, it looks like a big cloth dump right here. And on this one in the middle, it looks like the majority of it didn't come out until the very end. So as far as the penetration on these, this one here from the 4 1/4 inch Taurus Commander is out here at 21 1/4 inches. inches. The first one from the Rock Island down there on the very bottom, it's at right about 21 inches. And then the last one is all the way out here at about 22 inches. So all of them, again, about the same penetration. This one here, though, from the Taurus, again, for whatever reason, got a little bit of expansion where these had none. Here's you a closer look of them. Again, on the top, the Taurus, the bottom two from the Rock Island. That's a big old amount of disruption on the top there from that Taurus. It could have tumbled in there and faced back around straight. It's really hard to tell without a super high-speed camera, but then there you can see the penetration on them. Again, Taurus, a little bit of expansion, and these two, absolutely nothing. And then just a quick look from above. Again, that's just a massive amount of disruption out of that Taurus for whatever reason. All right, y'all, let's check out these projectiles. So right here, of course, this is the one out of the Taurus with the 4 1/4. These are both from the Rock Island. Now, this one here that's got a little bit of deformation, that was the one that was facing backwards. So first off, this one out of the Taurus, as you can see, definitely some expansion here for whatever reason. I have no idea why this would have got that kind of expansion and these didn't. Now, again, this is not some fabulous expansion, but it is some expansion, and it doesn't look like it tumbled. I mean, again, in the gel here, it's a nice spiral pattern all the way through there. It could have tumbled. The only way to know that for sure is a very high speed camera, but it does not look like it tumbled, so I have no idea why this one would have opened and these didn't. But as you can see, this one here that was sitting there backwards, it did have some deformation. So that kind of leads me to believe that maybe the Taurus did tumble and it just doesn't look like it, because that tumbling kind of forced this one out, I would say, because this one here that was sitting straight, absolutely nothing. I mean, no deformation. All the little skives are still tightly closed. You can see it didn't even attempt anything. But let's weigh them and see what we got there. It doesn't look like anything in the gel. This one here from the Taurus is 230.0, so right on the money there. This one with the little deformation from the Rock Island, that's 230.4, so nothing lost there. And then this other one from the Rock Island is 230.2, so nothing lost from either one of them. And then as far as size, this one out of the Taurus has really got the only thing to look at. You got 530, 545, and 555. So again, nothing fantastic, but plenty of expansion in my opinion for a 45 ACP. And then these out of the Rock Island, obviously nothing. I'll try to get this little piece here that kind of expanded. It's probably smaller than it started. Maybe a little bit, about 455 on that. And then the length on these that didn't expand, you're looking at 657. And there you have it, y'all, the Winchester white box in 45 ACP. Definitely some unanswered questions here that aren't going to get answered today by me and probably ever by me. I personally saw what I need to see to form my opinion about these. If I had these, I would certainly run them, but there's no way I would go out and seek these out and get them, because they're not even cheap anymore. These used to be a cheap option, budget option, whatever you want to call it, but that's not even the case anymore. You can get way better performing rounds for a lower cost. That Sierra Outdoor Master in 45 ACP, that's a perfect example. Those things far outperform this stuff right here, and for a much lower price. So in my opinion, these are just inconsistent for whatever reason, be it the speeds too slow, clogging. I personally think they're just moving too slow, but whatever the case, there's no way I would go out and purposely seek these out. All right, y'all, that's a wrap for this test of the Winchester white box in 45 ACP. Definitely not the kind of results I want to see out here for the first test of the day. Really, I would have to call all of this a fail. I mean, it would do the job. It's a 45 ACP after all. A lot of people going to run ball anyway, so expansion doesn't really matter. But when you're buying something that is supposed to expand, an expanding hollow point, you want it to expand. Like I mentioned, it would be a little different if this stuff was truly a budget round still, but it's actually priced higher than stuff that does way better. So as far as the good old Winchester white box, as far as I can remember from what I've tested, 9mm's been the only one that performed good out here, especially through the cloth. The 380 wasn't worth a hill of beans, the 40 Smith & Wesson wasn't, and now the 45 ACP, it just looks very inconsistent for whatever reason. I think the problem here mainly is the speed. Those things are just going way too slow for a 230 grain projectile, basic projectile at that, to get any kind of expansion. expansion. But let me know what y'all think about it down in the comments. Do any of y'all out there run these Winchesters in anything as far as a normal carry around? Do you have them stockpiled up as just far as a HP stockpile? Let me know down in the comments what your thoughts are. If you enjoyed the video, reach down and hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and make sure you got your notifications turned on so you get notified when I upload new stuff. Take a second, like I always remind you, and check out those affiliate links in the video description. Anything you buy from any of those links down there, I get a kickback from them toward the channel, so I really appreciate that. As always, a big thanks to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got a few more interesting things planned for out here today, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.